views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
This show's audio was via a Skype call.
Get fired up for Spirit Fire Radio with your hosts, Dorothy, Riddle, and Steve Kramer. Get ready to shine the light on universal spiritual principles and uncover ways that ageless wisdom can guide you in cultivating consciousness in these modern times. Bring purpose to your life through practical spirituality and add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio. Now, here are your hosts, Dorothy, Riddle, and Steve Kramer.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to Spirit Fire Radio. We are all so grateful you are listening. And when I say we, I mean my wonderful co-host, Dr. Dorothy Riddle. Hi, Dorothy.
Hi, Steve. Glad to be with you.
Glad to be here, too. Once again, we get a bonus week for forgiveness. Do you think the universe is telling us we really just need to get this down? Forgiveness, right?
I think so. We're getting a fifth chance. Yes.
Yes, it's beautiful, and that happens throughout the year, and it always seems necessary in some way. It seems like there's just another piece to the puzzle that we can fit in, and forgiveness has been so rich, this dialogue, and there's so much culturally that we're talking about in terms of forgiveness and harmlessness, and it's really been a wonderful month. So I look forward to our discussion today on the heart, because the heart is such an important part of forgiveness. So listeners, we're going to go very deep into that today and hopefully uncover a few, pointers and little facts about the heart that you may not have considered before. Dorothy, you usually have a quote for us. I'm sure you have one today.
I do. And this one is from Martin Luther King. We must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. Those who are devoid of the power to forgive are devoid of the power to love.
Nice.
And I think that's a really interesting linkage of forgiveness and love. And I just want to make the point before we go any further, and I think you can help us with this, Steve, that when we talk about love, we're not talking about romantic love. We're talking about the energy that unites us, the sense of connection that allows us to experience ourselves as part of a whole. And if we can't experience ourselves outside of just ourselves, if we can't reach out to other people in any way, forgiveness is virtually impossible, right?
Absolutely impossible. And it takes time to get there. When you talk about this sort of largesse that is love, which is really about really fully understanding and feeling and experiencing that interconnectedness, which is innate between all humanity. The quote starts by saying we must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive, right? It shows that it is a process, and we have to develop that. We grow into that, and then we've got to maintain this level of vibration, because it can be so easy to just this term that's sort of new, I think. Maybe I'm just, maybe my age is going to come through, but this idea of the hater, calling people the haters. You're just a hater. And it's because, it can grow. We just sort of have a grudge against somebody, or somebody's done us wrong. We're feeling angst about it. And if we don't work on that, if we don't see the light or the goodness in working toward an understanding of what went wrong and perhaps even forgiveness, it's so easy just to throw somebody else in that bucket. Oh, all right, I'm angry at you too. I'm angry at you too. Because we have a tendency to bump up against each other. It's how we learn. And so, we've really got to develop this capacity to forgive. And I love that you mentioned love, indeed. I just had knee surgery last weekend. My partner's been so kind and taking such good care of me and being very helpful. And I just keep thinking, oh, Tim, I love Tim. And I tell him all the time, I love you. Thank you for taking care of me. And what I'm really talking about is, I'm at ease. I'm secure. There's peace. I feel cared for. And that's really a personal kind of love. And what I really want to say is, I'm really happy. I really not only do I love this person, but it's unique to me. The kind of love we're talking about is really an unconditional sense, a group love, an understanding that we are all connected and we can understand that commonality and feel it and experience it. I'm blessed to work at Spirit Fire's Retreat Center, and we're around presenters and yogis and meditators and contemplators, people who are really trying to generate love. People will walk in the center and they just emit this amazing energy. You've never met them before, and within minutes of being in their presence, you feel your connection to them and you feel love. It comes from your heart. It comes from a place that's not personal, as in, oh, I love you, thank you for taking care of me, but in that I feel your love, I feel your goodness, I feel your well-being, I feel you, and it wells up in your heart. So I think that's the kind of love we're going to, and it's related to the heart. The heart is really a bridge, if you will. It's how we connect to each other. And so if we're angry or we've got angst, we're pinching somebody off. They're not a part of our, they're not a part of our sphere. We've separated, the bridge is gone. And so the heart is a way to reunite and reconnect where there has been separation. So, when we think of love, the heart comes to mind. And I think that forgiveness is sort of this entry point to the heart, if you will.
Yes, and I think one of the other pieces we want to pull in here is that this, when we talk about the unconditional love, the love of that springs from the heart, we're talking about unconditional in the sense that we are cognizant of the fact that we make mistakes. Right?
Yes.
It's not unconditional that it just includes the people that are perfect, that don't do anything. But we recognize, and this is part of the forgiveness process, is recognizing that we ourselves make mistakes. We are in error some of the time, and other people are too. The extremes may vary, but it is all part of the human condition that we learn through the process of trying things and getting feedback. And some of what we do is appropriate, some of it is not. And so that connection to others has to be based on a realistic awareness that being human includes making mistakes.
Yes.
Right?
I appreciate that you say that after me sort of talking about these wonderful yogis that come into the center. I'm curious, it was probably in response to that. That's a beautiful articulation, because it's not that in order to feel love, we all have to feel perfect in any way. I like that you said that. So thank you for that. But it's just that commonality that when you sense somebody's humanness, their humanity, and you feel that connection and you sense it in your heart. And we can feel that connection and humanity when others err as well, by looking at them and saying, oh, I know what that is. I know how that is. I've done that, and in a sense that gives way to empathy and compassion, which are also of the heart.
Yes. I want to just note for our listeners, Steve, if anyone is not aware of the work of the Institute of Heart Math, the research being done there, and you can find it online, is just absolutely fascinating, and it's part of the professional work that has helped us understand that the heart is not simply some kind of mechanical pump that circulates blood in our bodies, but that the heart is actually the most powerful generator of any of the body's organs, and its electrical field is 60 times greater in amplitude than the electrical activity generated by the brain. And the magnetic field that it produces is more than 5,000 times greater in strength than the field generated by the brain. So we tend to think of the brain as being the kind of lead organ in terms of how we relate, how we understand the world, how we link in. But actually, what we're finding is it's the heart.
Wow. I mean, when you think of that, right? 5,000 times greater in strength of a magnetic field than the brain. That's massive. I mean,
it is.
That's just huge. I think I had this epiphany when I realized, that, well, we can be in a coma, we can be brain dead, mm-hmm. but when your heart stops, you're through, mm-hmm. And what HeartMath does such a brilliant job at displaying is that, when the heart stops, it's certainly not just a pump that is stopping. It is really our connection to all that is on every level of mm-hmm. our existence, and that mm-hmm. the heart controls and monitors, right? And generates so much of that. Indeed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, listeners, just to reiterate, HeartMath Institute is an amazing organization. And Dorothy, I think they just this year put out a book that they're offering for free. They're a nonprofit organization as well, and they put out a book of a accumulation of a lot of studies that they've done. They do a lot of very scientific studies that produce amazing, interesting results. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, Dorothy, we're about at our first break. I know we both wanted to talk about harmony because that has so much to do with the heart. And before we get into that, I think perhaps we'd better take our first break, and then when we come back, let's get a bit more into the heart and what does it produce on every level. So we'll be right back after these words.
Stay juicy. Tune in to Your Juicy Love with me, Una Drake, co-hosting monthly with Dr. Pat, and every second Monday at 12 p.m. on Transformation Talk Radio. My show, Your Juicy Love, helps you find the dynamic, life-affirming love you've always wanted. Transform your relationships and bring peace, joy, and juicy, juicy love to planet Earth. For more information, visit unadrake.com.
Tune into the wisdom of your soul for guidance on living a joyful life. On Soul Wisdom Radio, Wendy will provide inspiration to raise your vibration and connect with your higher self and guides. Learn how to balance your ego and to progress spiritually on Soul Wisdom Radio with Wendy Rose Williams. Visit wendyrosewilliams.com or Transformation Talk Radio to learn more about a healing session with Wendy and her events and publications.
Now you can be a part of one of the most powerful programs to help create a more joyful, loving, abundant, and peaceful world. Every day at 12 noon in any time zone, join millions of other people around the world to spend a few minutes in joy, love, and gratitude. Brought to you by Robert Schoenfeld, host of the Art of Powerful Living Radio. Together, we can raise the vibration of the planet. For more information, visit globalmomentofjoy.com.
The Janice Underwood Show, helping you create the life you want, not the life you tolerate. Tune in each Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio as Janice delves into the Life Creator System and the next step in your spiritual evolution. Janice Underwood is gifted at helping spiritually minded people shift their mindsets to unleash the Creator within. Our souls wish to wake us up. Those of us listening hear the call. Do you? For more information, visit janiceunderwood.com.
What is a brilliant culture, and how do we create them? Why are they important? Claudette Rowley has created a breakthrough 5-step process to help you align your culture with your business strategy for exceptional results. Looking for a culture that drives organizational excellence? Listen to Cultural Brilliance Radio, the second and fourth Friday of each month at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio. To learn more or work with Claudette, visit culturalbrilliance.com.
Be you plus live your purpose equals joy. That's the motto of Unstuck Joy with Vicki Todd. Vicki believes you were born with gifts that are meant to make the world brighter. Each show will feature an art visioning journal prompt to help you create your way to soul clarity. If you're ready to get unstuck and create more joy, this show is for you.
Tune in the first and third Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information, visit VickyWorldArt.com.
Welcome back to Spirit Fire Radio and our show on forgiveness and the field of the heart. So, Dorothy, we've been talking about cooperation and connection, and we are representing two groups that are in a beautiful connection and collaboration. So perhaps we could tell our listeners a bit about that before we go back into the heart.
Sounds great. How about if I start, Steve?
Super.
I'm Dorothy Riddle, and I'm with the School for Esoteric Studies. You can find out more about us online at esotericstudies.net. We provide esoteric discipleship training for persons who have a spiritual practice and want to deepen it, particularly in terms of world service. We focus on our training on meditation, study, and service. And several years ago, we recognized that there were many like-minded organizations that were all kind of working on their own, doing their own thing, and that we could generate more, perhaps, or something different by being in collaboration with other organizations. And so we have, on our website, we have a section on intergroup collaboration. If you are part of a group that would like to collaborate with us, please take a look at that. But one of the collaborations that is near and dear to my heart is this one, Spirit Fire Radio, which we are doing with Spirit Fire. We're very grateful that Spirit Fire wants to work with us on this.
Not only wants to work with you, but enjoys it as well. You know, it's co-creation at its best, right? When we're co-creating, it just makes you feel alive, right? It makes you feel just downright good. So Spirit Fire is also an educational nonprofit organization. And wow, for those of you who are listening, just a great thank you for Giving Tuesday was yesterday. And people were so generous and kind giving to Spirit Fire and its cause, which is to generate consciousness, awareness, and educate people on the importance of spirituality in their everyday lives. We do that with our own meditation practice called the Practice of Living Awareness, with online classes based on consciousness and spirituality. And we have our own retreat center in Western Mass. So spiritfire.com, check us out. And yeah, Spirit Fire Radio. If you want to hear some archives, this whole month has just been great. You can go to spiritfireradio.com and transformationradio.com and look up Spirit Fire Radio. So, Dorothy, a little bit more on the heart. What I love is you bring so much just really juicy, sciencey information to the table. It always gets me really revved up. So let's go on with the heart, because I know there's just more, right?
That's right. That's right. The heart, what's really fascinating to me, Steve, is that scientists have shown that the heart communicates to the brain in four major ways. So in other words, it's not, we need to discard this idea that the brain is the primary stage director, right, directing all different parts of the body. The heart is at least as important as a co-director or otherwise. And so the heart communicates neurologically through nerve impulses that connect the organs. It also communicates biochemically through hormones and neurotransmitters. And in 1983, the heart was actually reclassified as part of the hormonal system, which some people may not be aware of. And then the heart also communicates biophysically through pressure waves put out. And you know, we think of the heart, the pulsation of the heart mimics or patterns so much of what we know, the in and out breath, you know, the ebbing and flowing of energy, all of that. And then we also have the energetic communication through electromagnetic field interactions between the heart and the brain. So a very active a very active part of who we are. And really, I think it's more appropriate to think of the heart as a field of energy as opposed to just an organ.
Well, and so much of the Heart Math Institute shows us the ways in which our electromagnetic field, the one produced by our heart, is constantly communicating with other people's electromagnetic field. And so when you put two and two together and you realize how much influence the heart has on our brain, you realize that, so much of our responses, our thought processes really have so much to do with others. We think it just all comes from inside in our thoughts, but really some of our thoughts and our responses and reactions are really cumulative or really integrated, with the world around us. We're constantly receiving and putting out. So we're really a part of this sort of morphic field, and the heart is responsible for that. It's fascinating.
Yeah, exactly. And there's lots of research in this whole area of coherence that you referred to before the break, Steve, showing that positive emotion and a meditative practice also really increases coherence in heart rhythms. And it's not just in the individual heart rhythms, but also the rhythms of a group and of the physical surrounding area. There's ongoing global coherence initiative to try to help create coherence or maintain coherence in the energetic fields of the earth.
Yeah, it's such a great word, right? Coherence. I mean, do you have a definition sort of for us of coherence?
Well, we can think of it as being able to function in a coordinated and balanced manner. I think of coherence and harmony as similar, but coherence to me is like the verb, it's the process. It's how it happens, and harmony is the end state that is produced through coherence.
Right, I like that. Yeah, I think of somebody who's had a bit too much to drink, and we say, they're totally incoherent, meaning they're just out of whack, right? They're not coordinated. Their speech, their thoughts, nothing's coordinated, and everything's just coming out all wrong. So we can sort of link that, I think, to forgiveness, where we see that if there's anger or resentment, or we have hurt, or we have, we're in the process of amending a situation or just coming to terms to understanding it, there can be incoherence within our system, right? Because there was incoherence between ourselves and another, and it can create an incoherent state within ourselves. Yeah.
But it's also, I'm not sure exactly how to put this, but I was just in an interaction yesterday that suddenly turned into a very difficult, in other words, the day was going along just fine, and all of a sudden there was this falling out that was unexpected and jarring and very unpleasant. And in trying to heal that, what I found was that the other person was saying, I'm sorry, and I was trying to get to the forgiveness space, but it was like there was something missing. There was an incoherence in the field. And then my friend said, I just realized part of what I did. And it's like by filling in that piece, it became a coherent whole that I could then relate to and say, yes, I understand, I forgive, all is well.
So you were actually sensing the incoherence within them, within your friend, because they hadn't quite come to the realization yet. They hadn't created a knowingness, about what went wrong. And you could feel that without them even knowing it or you saying it. Just, it was a sense, huh?
It was a sense. And actually what I did say was, I know you're sorry, but I don't have a sense yet that this won't happen again. There's something missing. And it was that awareness of why they had done what they did.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, and I think I teach energetic medicine, which is esoteric healing, which is a chakra-based energy healing modality. And when we get to the heart center, we'll often show this video of a doctor in Barcelona dissecting a heart. And you can take a heart apart by kind of cutting it along the lines, these sort of fibrous, what holds the muscles of the heart together. And it actually unwinds to become a spiral. It's one piece of muscle that winds around itself that creates the four cavities. We sort of think of the heart as this muscle with these four cavities in the middle, but actually it's a spiral. And when the heart beats, it's not moving blood from top to bottom and side to side. It's actually a spiral that's sort of rotating in opposite directions back and forth. And it's a torus, so it's a toroidal flow. It creates a toroidal flow. I've got this great definition of a torus. So a torus is a, stick with me. It's a self-organizing system that comes together at a single point of unity and then expands its energy outward in every direction all around itself until it returns back to the space in the center. And it continues to do so. So if you think of your heart just pumping blood, it sends the blood out to every part of your body, and it delivers oxygen, and then it collects the deoxygenated blood and brings it back to the heart. So there's toruses all around us. Our chakras are toruses. We talk about it quite a bit. But what was happening in that situation with you and your friend is there wasn't a cohesive energy. So the heart is constantly, it's this torus, not only physiologically in the way it's constructed and also in the way it works within our body, but it's always sending out these messages. And there was something missing, as that energy was coming out, you were receiving it, you were sending it back. You both were sort of, without knowing it, having this form of communication that I'm noticing something's wrong. You might need to process a little further. I'm going to process a little further. Here's the information. It's a torus. So I find it so interesting that our fields are constantly sending out an energy. We pick it up from somebody else. We may make some adjustments. We go back out, bring it back in. Just fascinating. It really does.
Beautiful image.
It does speak of interconnection. It just speaks of the way that it's all connected. And the heart, it controls our immune system, which is all about homeostasis, which is all about harmony, right? And cohesive states. So listen, Dorothy, we're at another break again. So
oh my goodness. Okay.
I know that went fast. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the heart and forgiveness. We'll be right back.
Winning at the game of money. Lynn Brown is now offering Full Spectrum Finance, a progressive 12-month program that will help you to navigate through the mechanics of financial expansion. Finally, a financial planner who looks at the full spectrum of money and abundance. Engage you in the mental, physical, and energetic aspects of finance. This is Full Spectrum Finance. Are you ready to get into it? For more information, go to fullspectrumfinance.com.
To see your life from an angel's perspective, book a personal consultation with Claire Candy Huff, angelic walk-in angel Ariel at Angel Healing House. Candy provides intuitive counseling, Reiki, and angel readings in person in Los Angeles or nationally and internationally via phone or Skype. She will channel the practical tools you need to transform your life. Call now 831-277-3716 or visit angelhealinghouse.com.
Did you know that all of the shows on the Transformation Radio Network are available as podcasts to stream or download?
Really?
Check us out. Go to transformationradio.fm. We have business shows, spiritual shows, energy healing shows, and pretty much everything in between. Something for everyone, guaranteed to inspire, educate, and transform. We are transforming the world, one listener at a time.
Integrate spirituality into your everyday lives on Universe Soul Heart Radio.
Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio as Kathleen Johnson explores the concept of sensible spirituality, keeping you grounded, connected, and centered on the path to wholeness. Kathleen has dedicated her life to facilitating holistic healing and wholeness in others. Listen to Universe Soul Heart Radio and learn how to flourish, grow, and impact all we do on planet Earth. For more information, go to universesoulheart.net.
What if your body and mind were the compasses to the secrets, mysteries, and magic of life? Glenna Rice, co-host of The Questionable Parent, is inviting you to access all that is possible. Glenna is a 10-year certified veteran access consciousness facilitator who offers an amazing variety of life-changing classes and workshops. Work with Glenna from anywhere with teleclasses and workshops all over the globe. To learn more and see Glenna's current schedule of events, classes, and workshops, visit glennarice.com.
Choose the new earth on the Cornelia Stephanie Show. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio as Cornelia takes listeners on an odyssey of higher consciousness to inspire, educate, and empower. Cornelia guides people on the path of self-healing, peace, and liberation. The Cornelia Stephanie Show is your catalyst for anchoring heaven on earth on a global scale. For more information, go to corneliastephanie.com.
Welcome back, listeners, to Spirit Fire Radio. Steve and I are talking this week about forgiveness and the field of the heart. And just before our break, Steve, you were giving a beautiful image, the Taurus. I can't even say the word. You're going to have to,
right.
Yes.
Toroidal flow.
Yes. And it seemed to me what you were describing was a beautiful, supportive field for the kind of exchange that occurs or needs to occur between people in the process of forgiveness. And my question to you relates to something that I've emphasized all through this month, and that is that sometimes we engage in forgiveness. We can and we need to engage in forgiveness without interacting with somebody else. In other words, there may be somebody that has harmed me or an institution that has harmed me, and I'm never going to actually interact with them and have anything to do with them. But as long as I have this kind of energetic knot of anger and pain and all of that, then I'm tying up energy that's not available for other work. And so to me, it always starts internally that I need to be able to release that knot, whether or not I ever interact with the other person. And I'm wondering, in terms of the imagery that you were using before the break, how would you apply that to that process of unknotting within ourselves?
Well, in that instance, so for instance, you premised that story by saying, I was having such a great day,
yes.
And then this happened. And you could have very easily defaulted to just thinking, why did you do that? Why did you say that? It could have been directed at this person or just directed at the day itself. And that is a condition, right? So those are conditions. If you hadn't have said this or you hadn't have done that, we would have continued to have a really great day. Why did you do that? And it comes down to blaming and shaming and a very me, it's a very self ish, if you want to put it that way. I was having a great day and now my day, or the day was great. And from my perspective, now it's all wrong. But you've got to be able to get to a place where it's not about the conditions of why did you say that, or if you hadn't have said that, because that's usually where the knots come in, I find. And get to a place of what just happened. Or an opening, it's got a wider breadth, it moves to the place of not being about conditions, but being about questioning what happened to the connection and the flow and the ease and sort of wanting to explore that, being open to, what just happened here? In saying that, you haven't pinched anybody off, but you've noticed that something's gone awry, and you're still allowing for an exchange, right? And they're allowing for an exchange from you, because if you had all of a sudden gotten very angry and shaming or just realized, hey, I don't think I want to be with you anymore today, there wouldn't have been any flow back to that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I want to put it to you another way, Steve. I think that this may be of interest to our audience. I'll take a different kind of scenario from my own life just to make it practical. So I went through a period as a young person. It doesn't the reasons don't matter, but I went through a period of being shunned for about a year by my classmates. The adults around did nothing to intervene or do anything. And that's not something that I'm going to go back historically and try to find those people and work through some kind of, truth and reconciliation process with them. It happened. It was very painful. And in order to get on with my life, I had to, at some point, let it go and forgive that it happened. And so that's the kind of context I'm thinking of. How does that relate to that beautiful image, the energetic image that you gave me? What was I doing in order to be able to let that go?
Well, you just weren't offering resistance. You weren't offering a force back that was going to create yet another distortion or deepen the distortion. So there was still an exchange allowed, on some level. So I think it's resistance. You say letting go has to do with releasing resistance to the situation itself. And once again, it's not saying that what took place that threw the day off, or what took place, that the shunning that took place, which is hurtful, but it's letting go of the hurt. It's not saying it was right. It's not saying that you excuse it, and it's not saying, well, all right, I need to contact each one of these people and get an answer from them. It's not offering resistance to that situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I would. Let me just try one related thing that just because for anybody who's been in the kind of situation where they have been harmed, it is it's not just their own subjective sense, but there was harm done. I think the way I might put it is, I am internally letting go of the stopping of the flow of energy that connects me to the rest of the whole.
Yes.
That any time I have that hurt, it's like, even when I talk about it, my hands clench, my shoulders kind of come forward, right? And so it's letting go and participating again in the field of the heart, of not blocking that off. And that I do for myself, and I do it for the common good, for my ability to be part of that flow of energy. Whatever those other people, however they deal with what they did, that's my responsibility, is to be able to participate open-heartedly in the field of the heart.
Yes, and it's the self-organizing aspect of it. There is an aspect of ourselves, I believe innately, that wants to find that alignment again. That wants to find that alignment with the heart, that wants to find a coherence. And it's a process, right? I mean, it can be a quick process in an exchange with a friend that said something off or did something, that's off, and we feel it within ourselves, and we say, deep within me, I would like to feel coherent, and what needs to happen in order for me to feel that? It really starts within ourselves. And for every situation, that's going to be different. but it starts with the notion of, I'm really out of alignment. That really threw me. I can feel myself pinched off, not only from myself, but from the world around me. And often that expresses in, disappointment or rage or shame or anger. Somebody cuts you off and as you're driving, and you feel you've just been, you've been slighted. We've got to just at some point realize that has pinched us off from our experience, from our presence and our connection with ourselves. And there's something deep within us, innately within our heart, that wants to self-organize, that wants to bring us back to center so that we can then reconnect not only with ourselves, but with the now and with the world around us and people around us.
And with with the whole energetic field, which I think of as the one life. It's that cosmic energy field that the physicists have confirmed that we're all part of. And so, at a very basic level, we do forgiveness for ourselves.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We do it so that we can become part of a coherent energy field that encompasses all living beings.
And so much comes of that, Dorothy, right? I mean, there's so much self-knowledge, so much knowledge about the way actually that the world works, that relationship works, that we work even as a human being. So much comes of that. And it allows us in every future instance, to have a bit more empathy or compassion or create space. I know next month we're going to talk about intuition. It also allows us to intuit, and to say, I know this vibration and I am going to step back away from it. There's just so much knowledge that comes from that experience of moving through forgiveness and coming to a place of alignment with a situation, with ourselves, and being able to forgive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, go on. Yes.
Are you about to say that we have to go to a break? Or can I make one more comment?
I think you can make another comment.
Okay. Well, I think there's another concept that we've talked about before that is related to that, and that is hope, right? That the field of the heart and our willingness to connect with it supports our experience that change is possible, that what were old hurts don't have to remain, that we can move into a new energetic space.
Yes. And we've talked so much about options when we talk about hope, which is expansive in nature. And we can sense, if we're in a place that doesn't allow for forgiveness, there are fewer options. We can feel that there's a contraction, right? And so forgiveness definitely, it opens us up to this idea of options, which generates hope.
Mm-hmm.
And allowing, just really allowing. I find it interesting that the heart chakra, if we talk about chakras, it actually exists above the diaphragm. And when we talk about the chakras in esoteric healing, we talk about the lower centers and the higher centers. And I think about how much sort of courage it takes. We've talked about that in past shows. The courage it takes to generate hope sometimes and forgiveness. When we move through the centers, at the basic center, it's just this will to be, this survival instinct. And then at the sacral center, it's about relationships and it's about manifesting and building. And then we get to the solar plexus, which is really all about empowerment and our sense of self. And we've got to have all of that work done. We've got to have all of that aligned so that we can really sit in a place of stability and alignment, draw upon that courage, that our beingness. And from there we can act, and that's when we move up to the heart center. So, hope is really this, it lifts us up. it lifts us up from this place of everything going wrong. How am I going to survive this? To I'm able to build new relationships, and I have trust in relationships. To I feel empowered. I feel that I can find options. So that was sort of like a journey from the lower three centers up. Then we get to the place of the heart, which is where we sense that interconnectedness, that unconditional love. And so it's a process, I think, to find that upliftment, to get to that place of hope. It takes quite a bit of courage and alignment.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dorothy, we are at another break.
Okay.
Now, for real.
Okay.
So we'll be right back after these words.
The Knowledge Book, currently studied in 39 countries and 15 languages around the world, accelerates our evolution, takes us out of depression, offers universal truth, protects us, and makes us stronger, both spiritually and physically. So if you are interested in the Knowledge Book, visit usa.theknowledgebook.net and tune in to the Knowledge Book Radio with Marge Potasic on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Amber Teal, founder of The Healthy Edge, is bringing you the hit show Healthy Edge Radio, living with power, passion, and purpose. Amber provides the support and tools necessary for you to finally release the weight and emotions that are hidden beneath the weight. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information on how you can take the next step with Amber, visit getthehealthyedge.com.
Isn't it time to put your health first? To give yourself the gift of whole body wellness? What if embracing unconditional love and self-care was the first step to wellness? Could you honor that for yourself? My name is Audrey Michelle, host of Rewired Life Radio and the author of Rewired Life, A Journey to Untangle Chronic Pain and Endometriosis. In my book, I share how I healed from 17 years of chronic pain and disease. Get your signed copy at audreymichelle.com/book, spelled MICHEL.com/book.
Tune in to the Psychic Professors Show, The Voices of Spirit Radio, with international medium and spirit artist Dr. Susan Barnes on Transformation Talk Radio, featuring a variety of spiritual topics such as psychic art, spiritualism, EVP, psychic development, and mediumship. This hit call-in show provides listeners with breakthrough wisdom to enliven and enlighten their lives. Visit spiritartgallery.net.
Tune in each Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio.
The Truth is Funny, Shift Happens with Colette Marie Steffen is excited to welcome Karen Benton as a monthly guest host. Tune in on the third Wednesday of each month at 8 a.m. Pacific Time to regain confidence and trust in your capacity to create change in your life, your health, your family, and your well-being. Karen Benton is a mother, nurse practitioner, certified body talk practitioner, Franklin Method instructor, and owner of Limitless Living LLC. For more information about Karen, visit KarenBenton.com.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
Welcome back, listeners, to Spirit Fire Radio. Dorothy, during the break, you had said you wanted to mention forgiveness and harm and the experience we were mentioning in the last segment. So, yes, if you will.
Yeah. I just, Steve, especially right now when we have all of these issues surfacing around sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, and questions being raised about whether the persons who were victimized can be believed, or how they're supposed to prove that they were believed. I think it's worth just spending a little bit of time on reminding ourselves that forgiveness does not mean condoning what's happened. It does not mean forgetting what's happening. And in fact, it's really critical that as a first stage in the forgiveness process, that we speak our truth, that we say what happened, that we don't just push it down and try to not pay attention. And I'm speaking particularly to women, although there are many men who also have had this experience. But as women, given the power dynamics in our society, many of us, and I would guess that it's actually a vast majority of us, have experienced sexual abuse of some kind in a context where we could say nothing about it without jeopardizing ourselves or our jobs or something that we held dear, the custody of our children, whatever it was. And now the tide seems to have turned, where it is okay with the Me Too movement for women to speak out. And so I just want to clarify that there is an important distinction between saying what happened, being heard that did happen, and then not allowing that harm to control us and control our lives. And that's what we were talking about before, I think, Steve, about being, feeling pinched off or whatever. And that's part of speaking our truth, part of being able to, in a manner that is not so dangerous in terms of our livelihood and stuff, to actually be able to say what happened. And one of the important consequences is that it helps to strengthen our moral compass, because when we feel that we're endangered and we have to ignore or gloss over harm that has been done to us in a way that undermines our sense of what is acceptable and what is not, which then undermines our sense of a moral compass. So being able to say, yes, this happened, it was not okay. It was harm. I have been harmed. And then the next part is, I will not allow that experience to control my life, to define my life. Whatever happens with the other party, that's another matter. But for myself, I will release what I described earlier in our show as that knot of energy. I will release that so that I am reconnected again with my sense of joy and participation in the whole of life.
Well, and I appreciate that, articulation in this conversation, in that there is love behind that speaking of our truth, because you are allowing and creating space for the other to take responsibility for their actions. And though it might not feel like there's great love in that, there is great love because it is allowing the possibility of connection, or it is allowing that other person in some way, right, to find coherence within themselves if they can find their truth, which is that harm was done. It is opening up even the possibility, right, for coherence once again. And so speaking our truth is so necessary, and it really does come from the heart, because it is the truth of our connection and where that connection has gone awry, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and so part of what you're alluding to, which I think is really important for us to keep in mind, is that an aspect of the heart is self-care, self-love.
Absolutely.
And that we are the only ones that can heal ourselves. And I don't know, for me, what I've found over time is it's important for me to find a way to move into a space where it almost doesn't matter what happens to the offender. That's not what my life is about. As long as I've done my part of speaking my truth.
Yes.
My responsibility is to heal myself so that I can be open to the flow of energy, not necessarily with the offender, but with humanity as a whole.
All of life. Right.
That's right.
And that is unconditional right there. I mean, that is unconditional, and by default, unconditional love. And I'm hearing freedom. You're setting yourself free. At the end of the day, forgiveness allows or begets freedom. And, that ultimately is aligned with that expansive nature of love and of unconditional love. And it's a process. It is a process. Well, Dorothy, some interesting talk about the heart. What is the heart? How are we all really connected? The fact that we are connected in so many ways, and the necessity for us to understand that and constantly work toward ways that allow us to, to be an expression of that one life. Mm-hmm. Well, we're at this end of the show, Dorothy. It's been wonderful. Next month, we're going to talk about next week and all next month. We are going to talk about intuition. So I look forward to it.
That's great. Wonderful. Great talk, Steve.
All right, Dorothy. I will see you next week. Listeners, thank you so much once again. esotericstudies.net, spiritfire.com, and spiritfireradio.com. where you can reach us. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Fire Radio. Tune in each Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern for your weekly guide to purposeful living and practical spirituality. Join hosts Steve Kramer and Dorothy Riddle as they shine the light on universal spiritual principles and uncover ways that ageless wisdom can guide you in cultivating consciousness in your everyday life. Add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio. To learn more, visit spiritfireradio.com.